Hey everyone, welcome back to the podcast. Today's guest, we have Voigt from Arizona. I met him through mutual. He was at Pace Morby's Sub 2 event and they were just talking about land because he's in the RV space. So if you just want to give us a little background on yourself and kind of what you do in real estate.
Hey, definitely, Hunter. Well, thanks so much for the opportunity. I appreciate that, man. So thanks for having me. So my name's Voigt Thornton. I'm from New Mexico, moved here to Arizona uh, in 2015. So moved here for work. So I worked for GoDaddy and then worked there for a while and then got into if people don't know what GoDaddy is, it's actually you do domains, websites, and all that kind of good stuff. So I got into all the website stuff at that point in time. And then from there, transitioned over to real estate. So I started working with Quicken Loans, which is now Rocket Mortgage. So I became a mortgage loan officer at that point in time. And then from there, that was like my first experience to real estate. Had to kind of learn through everything, get all my license. And then I just was hooked after that, finding out more about single family homes, everything behind it. And yeah, and just really got really hooked on the whole process of that. I owned a home before, but I just didn't know the whole nuances behind like home purchases and real estate itself. And then from there, um, I got into real estate at that point in time. And then I've done real estate previously in 2008. I flipped my first home at that point in time, but still didn't really understand the whole process of everything too. It was kind of just, a fly by night, get in and kind of get some quick money. And we actually ended up losing on that deal in 2008 because there was a real estate crash. But I always wanted to get back in it somehow, and it never discouraged me. Being an athlete all my life, I played football, ran track for the University of New Mexico Lobos. And I just knew hey, you had to jump back in the game and you can't win every race, you can't score every touchdown. So let's get back into it and learn this game. And it's been great. And like I said, now, as of January, got into RV parks. Same thing. I didn't know anything about it. Learned about the whole the process. Been learning each and every day and connecting with people, and just been absolutely loving it. And currently under contract at this point in time with three different RV parks, and we're looking to close as of next week with the RV park. So if everything goes well,
Nice.
you know how well that can be, but just, that's what we're praying on and crossing our fingers. So excited to be
Yeah.
here.
So that will be your first RV park. So you started in January, so then be about 5 months, which is pretty good. Like transitioning over to a completely different asset class within real estate to having a deal. What's that structured like? Taking it back a step, what are you doing with RV parks? How does this work? Are you buying them and you're going to manage them? Are you buying them and you're going to wholesale them? Like explain how this process works.
Yeah, great question on that too. So what we do is myself as well as my partner, Kaden Couch. Um, we met here in Phoenix, Arizona at Brent Daniel's wholesale hotline. And this was about a year ago. At that point in time, we are just looking mostly to do single family homes. And in January, like you said, made the transition. We saw a lot of people go into that space, and we always had a strong buyers list. So we said, hey, let's jump into this. Let's build a buy box up for a commercial side of things and see what happens. And let's just, let's go for a full year and just focus on one thing. That's what we planned on doing. But what we would do on our side here, we think of ourselves as matchmakers. So we connect buyers and sellers together, and we take it through everything from prelim of the underwriting. It's 7 to 10 touches before we get that over to a buyer, a qualified buyer, and we want to make sure that we're teeing the deal up so much by the time that they're getting to our buyer. All they had to do within 24 to 48 hours is to submit an LOI. That's our overall goal. Of course, it doesn't always happen that way, but that's our goal, that they had everything they need to know, all the motivation, timeline, everything about that property before we hand that over.
Gotcha. That makes sense. So how do you find your leads? Because this is it sounds like a lot of what you're doing is the lead generation is the important part of the business. How does that work for you?
Yeah, great question. I mean, lead management's a big thing too, and we got all the systems all together now. Biggest thing is honestly just going out to, a lot of times we'll go out to Google, and then you can actually just honestly simple type in RV parks in Minnesota, RV parks in Vegas, Arizona. A lot of times you can do intake forms where you're actually typing them in and just reaching out to them that way. Also, there's other opportunities where you can get leads, where you can actually scrape leads and just send out, an email of letting people know, or out doing some outreach that way.
Mhm.
And the third thing is just if you're seeing a part that you're really wanting, just get on the phone, and talking with someone, asking for an opportunity you're speaking with the owner or having them get back with you. We haven't gotten to the text game at this point in time when it comes down to like doing any type of text blast. On this asset class, we did a lot of that on single family, but we just kind of scaled that back right now and wanted to kind of
Mhm.
do an email outreach reach first, set up an appointment, and then speak with them on the phone at that point in time. So right now, just do the email marketing right at this point in time.
It's probably a lot different compared to single family homes where email marketing is not very commonly used. So it's a little bit of a transition there. What made you go over to that method?
The biggest thing on that too, we want to kind of personalize a little bit, personalize and set up appointments at this point in time. We know that
Mhm.
people get a lot of text messages at that point in time. We know that if they're screening those texts, it could be someone as a maybe a park manager or someone else. We want to find out a way to um, reach out to them and more like kind of a softer touch, set up an appointment, and then kind of go from there. So we felt email that worked out the best and we tested it. And that was the biggest thing because you always want to do some type of A/B test. And the email marketing worked out the best for us. It got us on the phone, the most connections, the most responses. And we found that to be true because there's a hospitality business. So they're reaching out, they see those emails coming in and
Mhm.
and they're reaching back out to you as well. So at least you have that connection to have that to give them a call back or connect with them. So that's how we saw it on this side.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Where you have like that soft touch first, where you're not just cold calling them out of the blue and asking to buy their property or
Yeah,
anything. It's you have that introduction, and then you get them on the phone, and you build some rapport. So that makes sense for this
absolutely.
for sure. That's cool.
Absolutely.
Um, yeah. So with that, are you able to scrape enough leads where you're able to keep business going, or how? What's the market look like for RV parks? It seems like
Yeah.
if I was thinking about it, like, I don't know that many RV parks out there, so, like, there's probably a smaller
Hey.
market for it, so how do you, how many are there?
Spot on what you're saying there too. And what's so funny about that is I believe the RVIA, which is like the industry standard association, they said there was total about right about 20,000 parks, total when it comes down to, like, maybe, like, mom and pops or the ones that are not, um, primary parks, so there's not a lot out there when it comes down to where parks are, and that's where you just have it's more personal side of things, right? So there's not like, you can do these major blasts every day and to make sure that you're trying to get a hold of a single family person. It's more personalized. You really have to come to a different approach and what you're about, and really, like Hunter is building your brand and letting them know who you are and telling them your story and having that connection. So it's about that vision, that story of what you're doing and what you're wanting to do with the park is really helping out. But it's not a lot. It's a small space, and you run across a
Mhm.
lot of same people, same brokers, and then a lot of connections within the just that space itself. So very small, like you absolutely said.
Yeah. So do you do the entire country then? Like, you don't just focus in Arizona 'cause there's probably
Right.
not enough
Right.
competition, or there's not enough opportunity, so you go the whole nation?
We are. So right now
Okay.
we're seeing a lot in the Sun Belt area. So where we're at, just on the Arizona, not even in California. California people haven't been looking at a lot, or the New York. We're trying to touch a little bit on the East Coast. We have a client that wants to look in the East Coast, but it hasn't been a very popular area. But what we're seeing is Missouri, Arkansas. I mean, we're looking at camps even like in Oklahoma,
Okay.
parks and that kind of area. So you're looking in that southern region, even Florida too has been a lot of people have been reaching out about that. So that kind of little area, I would love to reach out a little bit more, but we don't have a lot of parks or and a lot of outreach in California and New York, those East Coast areas like the Northeast that way. So
Yeah. I suppose with RV parks over the winter time, in the northern states, they shut down
mm,
from November to March or something like that, so there's probably less of them and less buyers that would be interested in them just because there's less, revenue that's gonna be generated year round. That's just what I would think, because that's in my
yeah,
business and land, I like
hmm
to focus a lot on the southeast portion of the US,
gotcha,
because you have warmer weather, it's a little bit easier for off-grid living where you can install septic systems, and
right,
wells are a little bit easier compared to, like, in Las Vegas, if you go and try to drill a well, it could be,
Mhm.
tens of thousands of dollars to drill deep enough if you even have the water rights. Whereas if you're out east, more commonly the water table's a little bit higher. So it's a little easier to do some off-grid land there. And there's just a more denser population. And it's overall, more buyers are buying in the South because, like I said, it's more year round for recreational activity. So that's why I focused on the Southeast. And there's some overlap because I like to focus on land that can be for RV camping. So I don't
Right.
do entire parks, but I look for land that people can camp on
I
it or
love
pull
that.
an RV on it. So, I mean, I have one single RV is kind of like my RV park is the
Okay.
limit. So, like, do you have a minimum of how big a park has to be like
Yeah,
something you would look
great
at?
question. And I love that breakdown of how you said about the land on the southeast side of things. And I think that's what we've been seeing as much as and that what we've been seeing in the market too with the buyers. That mindset of what you're saying, of what they're looking for. So yeah, thanks for the breakdown. It's good to know because you're a land expert, bro, and I have so many questions too for you. But yeah, what we're seeing is like people want over 50, 50 plus pads. That's where we're seeing most of our buyers, 50 plus pads. They want to see an NOI at least like 150 or higher to show that there's enough net operating income within the business that is driving it. A lot of people you'll see the buzzword says expansion, but if there's not enough occupancy or it's not being filled up, then expansion doesn't make a lot of sense a lot of times too. So say, hey, you have 20 acres to expand, but if you're getting like 40% or 50% of occupancy, let's fill up that occupancy first before saying, "Hey, I can expand." So that's kind of like the buzzword, and I've learned that through just just talking with other people and understanding why people say that. Kind of more of the marketing piece, but that's what we're
Yeah.
seeing. People want a lot of like pads. I'm seeing a lot now, like the 75 to 100 pads that people are wanting to. Seeing that a lot in like the Texas Permian area, what they call is the work camps or the man camps. Basically, what
Mm,
that is, when people come in to go work or the pipeline, they need a place to stay, and then it could be months out, but they'll have these large camps that people come in, rent out their space, and then use that too. And Texas is really, really big into that as well. So that's what we've been seeing when it comes down to with 50 pads or plus, it gives you enough ability to cash flow.
okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Mhm.
With having 50 pads, they charge per night or per month or per week for renting it out. Do they also have other things like I've seen, because I have a camper, so I go camping quite
Okay.
often. And a lot of these parks, like they might have like a small motel on it, or they might have cabins on it. Like, do you run into stuff like that as well? That when
Great
you're looking for properties?
Great point. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the thing what we've seen, I actually ran into one yesterday. A lady I spoke with, she actually has 65 pads, which is RV park pads where you can park, and they had a restaurant. Um, and when you have something like that, it's different. You have to account for that separately. So you have to separate the pads from the restaurant, how you underwrite everything too. So I asked the lady, "Hey, is everything going well at the restaurant?" They kind of want to get rid of it because it's more of a headache. They had to get a chef. They had to it's all this extra money that they're putting into it that it's two
Hmm.
separate businesses. So there's ways to kind of structure it in different ways, but I can see where people do want that. It's sometimes if you're wanting to keep the park for a very long time, but I see where a lot of people like try to avoid that because it can get very difficult in the underwriting because they're two separate businesses and it's almost two separate asset classes, like you mentioned before, which can
Yeah.
have some concern or some difficulty in it too. So
Yeah,
yeah,
because
great.
when you're underwriting it, is it based off of the income of the park, or because this is commercial, or how do you underwrite an
Yeah,
RV park?
so guaranteed, yeah, I mean, it goes off a lot of the, NOI or the net operating income, the occupancy, that's how it's being, occupied. If it's a nightly stay, nightly or dailies, how that's set up. Depending on your focus of what you're wanting to do, with that park, heavily determines how you want to underwrite that park and what they're looking for. But the biggest thing just is it a good market? Are you around an area that's going to be, is it a destination? Are you around national parks? Are you around some places that, people can go to? I'm sure you know this one too, is like, one thing they look into the business is there like a Home Depot or is there something that's like a Walmart buy? So something it's populated where they can get to different places too. So, and that's a good indicator because we know that Places like Chick-fil-A, they're all about their land, Walmart, Home Depot. So if you're in around those areas, you know that's more like a heavily populated or a popular place. So looking at the market is huge. Making sure that you're getting that NOI, that cash flow, and there's enough spaces that you're going to be able, if there's any type of capex or capital expenditures, that you're going to have enough money to put back into the park or fix something if something goes down, or have some kind of issue with it too. So yeah, no, that's yeah, good question. Yeah, so
Interesting.
sure.
So speaking of things going down, what could break with this? Because it's mostly just like empty lots, right? You have your roads going through, and then is the main infrastructure just the utilities running the water, electric, and sewage out to each lot, or what do you have to deal with here? What could break?
Yeah, good point. I love that. And to think about it, like I mentioned before, the hospitality business. So, couple. I mean, there's so many different things, right? We think about clogged toilets. You have people. You can have like, um, depending what you have, it could be city water, city sewage. It could be a lagoon. Just a different type of sewage system you have. Anything where it comes down to somebody, parking and running over top of a spigot or something on that's on the ground. When you're working with in the hospitality business, it's anything can happen or awry. It's not just just on the physical platform of the pads. It could be within just handling of the business itself, right? Um, but it could be a litany of different things that could happen. But utilities is a big thing, as you know. Anything with trees, making sure those are, if you're in a heavy dense park, when it comes down a lot of trees, making sure that foliage is cut back and not hanging over, things are falling down. It comes down even to if you're having like something that's paved. If you're having, let's say, things are raining, let's say, and you have like a maybe gravel roads, then you're thinking about mud holes, things you have to repair when it comes down to that too. And in some areas, it's not financeable if you have gravel roads. I know some different areas there it's like that. I know in like the Permian or the Texas area, they don't really care about it sometimes. But there's some areas that, hey, if you have a gravel road, they're looking to making sure that it's something that's paved or something that's in a um, better road treatment when it comes down to it. Because when rain happens or things change in the environment, as we know, it could have some things go wrong, especially with the heavy trailers and traveling utilities. So, but I would say, outside of that, it would just keeping everything just clean when it comes down to the park itself, and then just after that is then you have people management after that. So
Yeah,
that would be a different, where things can break.
that makes sense. Do a lot of these have bathrooms on them? Some like shower facility
Good
or
point. Yeah, you know what? There's some that actually have a full, just depending on the park that you're in. So there's so many different parks. There's like, roadside parks, which is like your A to B destination parks. You have your resort styles. That's when you see like it's the kind of like the party one where you actually have the lazy rivers, you're having the slides, you're having the pools, all that kind of stuff too. You could have, like, what they call bathhouses where you go out to, like, a main area, and, of course, your RV itself has, bath depending on some parks, they'll have your personal bathroom as well, but bathhouses are huge just to have support, for a larger park. So we see that a lot, and we do ask that question a lot if they have that. If not, we wanna make sure that the park is at least fitted what they call is 50, 30, or 20 amp to make sure depending on the size of your camper or your RV, that you have enough power to run that and to suit the guests there as well. So yeah, absolutely.
interesting? Interesting. Okay. Seems like you've learned a lot with being in this only for a few months. How did you
Man,
learn all these different things?
the biggest thing is connect like yourself, connecting with people, learning, listening, podcasts, big time, just listening and then writing notes down. And then it's like anything else. And like I mentioned before, I played sports and studied in school, went to school at University of New Mexico, just being a student of it every day, just really locking in, understanding every nuance. Of course, we're not going to know everything. We're learning each and every day, and that everything changes so quickly. But for the base, I just wanted to make sure I sat down, wrote, asked questions that I needed to know about the parks, listen to podcasts, and connect with people is the fastest uptick of learning for myself. So
It's
yeah,
great.
great stuff.
Yeah. But free education's some of the best educations.
Isn't it? And we're in the whole
And
world of it, bro. Like we get a chance
yeah,
to connect, and then even like YouTube, and then all the different places too. And then being in sub two, I'm in sub two with Pace Morvis Group since February 20th of 2024. So having a lot of
nice.
opportunity there, and then seeing a lot of people do a lot of things. I'm learning from their posts, learning from the different trainings, things of that nature too. So yeah.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, the network, and now you even have AI too. So if you don't have
Man, it
anybody to
is.
talk
It's
to,
more
it's
crazy.
it's still there.
It's still there. It's still there, and it's not stopping at all. So it really
Yeah.
isn't. So
So h- you've learned a lot. What have been some of the things that have been difficult so far?
great question. That's a really good question. I had thought about this like the other day too. The biggest thing is being patient because this asset class, and as you know, I'm single family could probably be a faster process. This one, you know, that's going to be it could be a longer process. It could be like you mentioned, 5 months, 6 months, even a year down the road. And a lot of times what we're speaking with is like a mom and pop or just a direct to seller, because we do off market direct to seller, is that they don't have their financials in order. So a lot of times we are waiting to get, financials piece by piece throughout the whole process. Some we just know that don't have a lot of financials at all, so we're just sitting in that lead and following up with them for the full year. So we have one client that we're calling them back in February because we spoke with them February this year, and we said, "Hey, just let's have a full build out of your season and see what happens, and then kind of go from there." And so that's probably like the difficult part of it, just the waiting game. Like it's a good deal, but you can't prove it. You can't underwrite it, right? So, or we know it's a beautiful
Yeah.
park, but we don't know if it's like amazing opportunity with the numbers as well. So, I think that's one of the challenging things that I've seen overall. But the thing, what I really love about that is you're building with them at that point in time. So you're staying with them, you're staying in touch, you're building that relationship. So when it's time to get that deal closed or go move forward, they're working with you because you're basically like you're their rep or your person that they've been with all that time working with them as well. So they're not moving on from
Yeah.
you, what I'm saying. So which
Yeah.
I like.
So it can take a long time and it can take a lot of work putting it into the deal. But
Yep.
then the exciting part is what does it look like in numbers? What can you make doing something like this? What is a potential for a deal to have in profit?
Yeah, great question. Like I mentioned before, with the RV park matchmakers, the way we structure everything with our buyers is that we're looking to um, get some equity of the property as well as anything when it comes down to getting a cut out of the percentage as well. And every buyer that we structure is a little bit different. Kind of give you an example of what numbers would look like. Let's say if we have like $1 million park, and we're in, 1,600,000. What we're doing is we're closing that park and then getting after everything closes, and we do this as a success fee. So we could be anywhere from the range from 30 to $50,000, and then get some equity on top of that. And it's not equity to kind of to be control the park. It would be more like fractional down the road. So if anyone refinances, if they're updating or sells, that would that's what we're looking at as well too. So kind of building that whole process out with our buyers that way, and that's kind of how our structure works. And we just think it makes the most sense if we're bringing a big asset. It could be in the 1 million, 5 million, and then some parts that we have right now or that we're talking with, they're in that 20 million range. So we're like, hey, to make a real acquisition company, just like any disposition company, we want to make sure it's like a
Hmm.
real business, and you can actually have that money to build upon the business as well, not just a one and done and just a quick fee and then, okay, let's move to the next one. Let's build a real true business. And that's what we always talked about. So yeah, great question on that too. So thank you.
Yeah. So with the fractional ownership, is it ownership of the business operations as well, or just of the actual physical assets? Like, do you get a recurring revenue with that?
Good point. I mean, we haven't structured that one yet. That particular one, ours right now have been something where if they're refinancing or they're selling, it would be on that that side of things. Maybe down the road we kind of like structure it up a little bit differently or a different deal. But I wouldn't mind. That'd be kind of nice at that point in time. Um, right now, what we're looking at is focusing on just our buyers at this point in time, and down the road, looking in 2027 is to get our own park as well. I mean, after learning so much, we can see there's opportunity that's there, and then how to structure it and how to get management in place is I know it's gonna be a long process, but hey, we're in the game now, why not, right? So,
Yeah.
but, overall, that's what we're looking at right now. We're, looking for that equity plus that, we're getting that, like a base at that, after the success fee, and then seeing where that goes from there and building upon that. But that's a yeah, great idea for your question.
Interesting. Cool. So what made you transition from doing single family homes to doing this? What was the incentive? Can you make more doing this? Was it just single family homes was too much work, or why did you want to do that transition?
Good point. Good point. And I love that question. We spoke a little bit offline. I think when we're going through a single family home, and I actually worked in single family home, being with Quicken Loans, and my other worked at Wells Fargo previously as well. I think the biggest thing, we do a lot of creative deals. So the agents that we spoke with a lot of times weren't open a lot to to the creative deals, weren't in the single family side of things. So we saw a lot of like, we're button heads a lot of times, or back and forth, or we're doing a lot of explaining. And I think after a while you're like, it's got to be an easier way than this. Instead of just kind of like the grind. And we were making calls and following up and everything, and things would just fall out. So my partner and I, Katie, we just thought, we're like, hey man, let's try a different asset class and see where this goes, right? And then, I mean, from call one, I mean, they were more open to the opportunity. They understood what seller financing is, because some of these people have actually, to get into their deal, they had to seller finance or owner finance the deal. It's a bigger asset. So we're like, we had just had longer conversations. I mean, we went from like 5-minute conversations on phones, like with agents, or to if we spoke with a broker, I mean, we're having a 30-minute to 40-minute call with a direct to seller, or sometimes even a broker too. So we saw that
Yeah.
transition right there. We just had better conversations, and that was the biggest thing too. That just really helped for us, because we knew we can establish something at that point in time. So, and such a smaller class uh, of um, of people and parks, it just made it more. I think it brought so much community into it, and that's what we were looking for, and that's what we needed. And yeah, we're excited about it for sure. So
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. So yeah, you transitioned over and then you're doing this now. Then next year you want to maybe buy your own or acquire your own property.
yes,
Managing that's going to be, in my opinion, I think that would be a headache. I don't like,
yeah,
because that's why I do land. I don't like to manage anything or do anything
love that,
because there's
love that.
something that can go wrong with it or with the actual physical asset. There's stuff with the business that can go wrong, of course, but
Right,
the land is, it is what it is. So
right,
that's why I like that. But with the RV parks, like you've said a lot, it's the hospitality business. So you have a
yeah.
lot of customers, you have a lot of people you're dealing with. I think one thing I've heard people do is they have like a park manager or something that basically lives there and manages it. Is that how you would set it up?
Exactly. So a lot of times when you're going to these businesses, they do have some people that are set up in the business as well. And what we've been seeing from other operators is that they're not trying to just do a clean sweep of people out of there, right? Because they've already built that community up. They've already built that community and people, how they love them. So working with the sellers and the park manager, and try to keep them in the business, and keep them motivated to be there, because they know the park the best. They know what's going on. We're just helping them either increase some things, make things better, and just improve overall. And if it's like a tired landlord, or a seller, getting them to what they need to move on for life, but still supporting their vision to that process. But yeah, keeping that into place is really nice. What a nice website too is for getting more workers is like workcamper.com. That's another, and it's with a K. It's WORKAMPER.com. It has a way to
Okay.
find like new workers, is really helpful. And there's another one. So it's camperjobs.com. So KAMPERJOBS. I believe that's camperjobs.com. It's like a white web page or something like that. And
Yeah.
but yeah, those are some ways that you can keep, get employees or find other people too that are looking for part managers. Another tip is just kind of going back to, it's just real simple, is Indeed.com. I've been hearing people like, they post, I just need part manager, or do some interviews on Indeed.com, and doing it that way too. So there's some 3 different sites that are very helpful if you're looking to
Okay.
hire.
Yeah, because I'm sure that makes sense for a lot of people where if they already have their camper and they need
Yeah,
some place to put it, why not just
exactly.
work a little bit and then they can stay there. Probably
Yeah,
some older couple, maybe they're retiring, or maybe there's
you're
just some
right.
people who want to travel. There's
It's so true.
Yeah.
So true. Well
It's
said,
tempting.
bro.
Like I kind of want to do something like that. It
Man,
seems
after
like a,
going through
a
it, I was
good.
like, man, what? I was thinking about it too. I was telling my buddy, I was like, man, this one's kind of nice. Just like kind of get away. And I always see you, like you're out and about by land and you're on your laptop and you're getting, I always hit you up like on a LinkedIn, man. I love the views, bro. So that is, I think that's what's so attractive about the lifestyle of having
Mhm.
that, being able to work from where you need to work from. And we can do it, right? With all the technology and like you had mentioned AI. And I mean, think about it. Starlink. I mean, we can connect everywhere. We could probably be under the water, like on our laptops these days.
Yeah.
So well, it's true, bro. So you're absolutely right. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
well true.
That's cool. So looking forward then, what opportunities do you see with the RV business? Because as you said, there's about 20,000 parks in the
Yeah,
country. Is a lot of those owned by older people, like boomers? Is there a lot of boomers that are retiring that want to get out of it? Is it a good time, or what's the opportunity look like in the next couple of years with this business?
good point. I'm glad you brought that up too. With the boomers, absolutely. You're seeing that a lot where there's a lot um, sellers that are looking to sell because of that for retirement. There's a lot of people even more on the actually more of like the franchise model with KOA. I've seen owners that are just owning KOAs that are actually it's kind of like a business in a box. They've already built it over 50 plus years. They know how to plug and play everything in. So that's a model of what people are doing. So they're buying up, 5 to 10 different parks that way too, just different operators, right? So depending on whatever kind of your structure is or how you want to have it set up, the opportunities, like you said, people are getting, there's a lot of people are getting a lot older. You're seeing these parks move within 3 to 5 years of sometime to exit. I've been seeing too on some of these owners, and the reason why that happens is because they had a vision to build out a little bit more, but like anything else, funds ran out. Right, that fifth year, like, and you're not seeing that uptick of money, and it's just kind of just stabilized from there. So they need someone to come in with that, to help that vision grow, and then at that point in time, they want to either exit or even you can structure where they're still in the park in different ways too, where you owner and they put them as some fractional ownership in it too. So many different creative ways to do it now, which is nice, and that's what I like about this asset class because there's a lot of options to that, how you can get this structured, and I'm feeling that a lot of people are very open to it and understand it, or we can it's easily they can be easily educated in the whole process since it is such a larger asset of how to get it structured. So that's where I'm seeing the wave going.
Are most of these deals creative then in some regard, like with either the seller or buyers? Are these mostly creative deals, or do people ever just come up and buy them in cash
Good
from the
point.
seller?
Good point. That's a great point too. What we've been focusing on our side here, and what we've seen a lot of buyers, we want some sort of seller finance in the deal as creative. I've seen where people are no. I've seen people who actually they're getting their loan, their DSCR loan. Some are just getting directly like we spoke with owners that have SBA loans. They're just doing that the way of just getting SBA or DSCR loan to buy it. Um, and then we have to explain the seller finance a little bit more. But we were actually really pushing for the seller financing side of things. So we have that ability, that flexibility. And we have, I mean, you don't see a lot of push up. We haven't had a lot of push up back on seller financing. If we do, we still want to keep that lead available and open. And then you'll see where if they're trying to sell the park and things are like long days on market, just like single family, that you're revisiting that or supporting them and telling them or sending educational information about um, what that process looks like and explain that to them. Just like your emails, the way you send things out, you educate people of how that process is. So it's a long play, right? Through that whole
Yeah.
structure, which is really nice. But that's what we've been seeing on our side. We try to really focus on seller financing, but there's is traditional for sure through banks and SBA loans also.
Okay. Makes sense. One other thing I was thinking about. So with the parks, you have tent camping. Is that a
Yeah.
part of a lot of these parks? Um, how do you calculate that in revenue? Because I feel like is that just based off of like if you're including that when you're underwriting it, tent camping, do you look at like a per tent site available, or do you look at the revenue? Because it seems like I've gone camping a lot, and sometimes
Yeah.
there's like here's a field that you can go camping in, and it's
Right.
like $20 a night. So like,
Mhm.
is it just looking at the revenue? Is that how you calculate
Good
that?
point.
Or
I'm glad you brought that up too, because we haven't ran into a lot of like just regular camping. But it's so funny that you said that because what is big is glamping. So basically glamorous camping where they have like domes or um, units that are not typically like a RV park, right? So, and those camps that you're seeing, glamp camps, they call them, that they're a separate asset class themselves. So keeping that almost to yourself when it comes down to, or actually a individual camp itself has been seen as most profitable that I've seen on my side, just because it's a niche. It seems like it's more of a niche itself. So when you kind of like you're mixing different part things together in the parks, it can get confusing and you kind of lose that identity. And it can be done for sure, without a doubt, depending on what style of camp. But what we've been seeing on that, if we're looking at anything like what they call it yurts or any type of like glamping camp, keeping it within that niche market, it makes the most sense. And we haven't went at that at this point in time. I know there's someone in the industry that's really crushing it, and he's doing that actually on the East Coast, the Pennsylvania
Okay.
area. I think some in like Oklahoma too, and he's franchising. But that's all he does. He doesn't touch RV parks. He sticks exactly to that one asset class. And that's what I love about you, Hunter, is when you go online, man, you're like land man. That's it. Land. That's it. I'm not doing anything. I'm not flipping this house. I'm not talking about this. And you just have a strong brand of like, this is what I do. I sell the earth, bro. So I love that. And that's exactly, that's what we're trying to kind of fit into is just, if it's RVs, we stick with that RVs, which is separate from mobile home parks because mobile home parks are affordable living. This is more of a hospitality business. So it's good to have
Yeah.
that. But great
Yeah, I didn't
question.
really even touch on that. That is something that a lot of people probably confuse between the two is a mobile home park and an RV park, whereas RV is it's for recreational activities, right? There's RV parks and there's mobile home parks. RV
Yes.
parks is just for recreation, right? And mobile home parks is where people are living as their full-time residents.
That's correct. So mobile home parks are going to be like seen as affordable living. That's where actually you're living, and then having your a community of that. RV parks, things that think of it as hospitality, recreational, fun, and you still can live in the RV itself, but it is a moving entity, and those are separate entities when it comes down to mobile home parks versus RV parks. And I had to learn that myself because I was just throwing it all in. Hey, mobile home parks be like, wait, no, 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 that's not how it works. It's not, these are totally different um, asset classes, and they're underwritten different ways as well too. When it comes down to rates and cap rates and everything too, so you look at that as a totally different asset class too, which is I've learned a lot finding out that way too. So yeah,
Yeah.
very damn great
What
question too.
so why do you want to stick to recreational vehicle parks? Why stick to RV parks instead of all of them?
Yeah, good point. That's a great point. I think I think when it comes down to the asset class of just fun and the ability to build on the amenities that we're want in our vision, like I said, the resort parks, the lazy rivers, everything that's like the fun part of it. I see that as the vacation side of things, and I'm kind of like a vacation type of guy. So I was like, man, that really um, it drew it to me. That drew to me, and I was like, "Man, I think that's where I wanna focus on, and I think I could be best represent that when it comes down to, me being on the phone, me speaking to sellers, and really understanding it." And that's what really, interested me in the whole process of moving to the commercial side of things. So,
Yeah, that's cool. So looking forward then, next year's goal is to buy a park.
yes.
Do you have what other goals do you have? Do you have like a certain number of deals you'd like to close or a revenue amount that you'd like to close or just what's it look like for you for the next year or two? What's the goal in the business?
Yeah, great question. So the biggest thing we had talked about too, we were kind of sitting down doing our goals. We would love to close 2 parks per month. That's our goal. So we did our KPIs and said, hey, we need to put this many out each and every day, or do outreach of minimum of 50 parks per day. It could be, like I said, sending emails, doing follow up, everything too, and to get to a goal of at least building a pipeline, and then picking up maybe one buyer a month. It doesn't have to be much when it comes down to it, but one qualified buyer can actually change your business, and that's what we've seen too. And that's having discussions like this, when it comes down to jumping on podcasts, understanding what their financial goals are, allows us to bring that vision to them when it comes down to the goal. Like you said, getting 2 parks per month, getting into an asset class of the RV parks within 2027 for ourselves, and understand that process. And we're gonna dive in. But we believe that we have a lot of support, when it comes down to some great people. I mean, like yourself, and just the knowledge that you bring, and then the knowledge of just what Sub Two brings, and people within that community in the RV space. That's our big rock goal that we're looking at too.
Hmm.
So, those parks, bringing them in for buyers, and then having that 2027 starting on that first park.
Yeah, awesome. I'll have to check your park out once you get one.
We do, yeah,
It'll
we
be
do. I know.
so for people that want to get into this, do you have any advice for somebody just getting started?
Yeah, great question. I mean, the biggest thing too is always say number one, connect with people. That's the biggest thing. Like what we're doing right now. Just ask. I mean, ask. Where to start, what things that they should be looking into, and then just do the research when it comes down to. There's enough podcasts out there. There's enough people to reach out to. I mean, your Facebook, your social media. Really understand like what you're getting into, and then find out where you can fit in. If you like to underwrite, if you like to make phone calls, if you like to do outreach, just know where find out what you'd want to do in the process. For myself and my partner, we've always done outbound calling. We've always taken leads that way. Lead management, we're doing that in single family, so it was naturally able to move over. But just really finding out through different talking with people, looking at podcasts, finding out um what makes the most sense for you, and then picking the asset class when it comes down to within the park itself. Do you want a roadside park? Do you want a resort park? Do you want a campground type of park? What type of park do you really draws you um, to this asset class? And then just go ahead and just dive right in. Let's start, just honestly, just really connect and make calls, and just jump on calls with people and talk to people. That's the biggest thing about this space, which I really really love. We
Yeah,
just have to
networking is
simple.
huge.
It's huge. It's just simplify it, right?
Yeah,
Simplify it. So,
definitely. Cool. Well, where could people find you? Where should they reach out to you if somebody wants to buy a park or sell a park, or they just want to talk to you and learn from you? How can they reach you?
great question. So, I'm all over social, every social platform. I do answer back every time under Voigt Thornton, or you can just go to our website at brokeralley.com. That's BROKER Alley, so ALLEY.com. That'll take us right to our intake form, and you can reach out to us, and we answer that all day as well. So feel free to reach out or give us a call at the number at 480-933-1183. And that's going to go to both myself as well as Caden too. So we're happy to speak with you.
Awesome. Cool. Well, this is your RV guy. So if you have an RV park, you know anybody with an RV park, reach out to him. But thanks for coming on, Boyd.
Hey, Hunter, thanks so much. Appreciate you.